It is the question that no public figure ever wants. What did you know, and when exactly did you know it?
You were CEO of the largest bank, and that you are pretending that you didn't ask for help.
Heated questions in D.C. today, and I think the only one who really get it is Dennis Kucinich, the congressman in rare form. Next. Just who pressured who in the Bank of America buyout of Merrill Lynch? BofA's Chief Ken Lewis not recalling everything about the deal. One congressman in a heated exchange with Lewis asking the CEO if he remembered requesting a letter from the Fed saying he was basically forced to go ahead with the Merrill sale.
You requested a letter from the government saying that the government ordered you to close the deal to acquire Merrill. Wasn't there such a letter?
I don't recall such a letter.
You're under oath, but your answer is you don't recall.
I do not recall.
Isn't it true that your request of that letter was motivated by your desire to protect yourself from your shareholders?
Well, sir, if I can't recall it, I can't answer the second question.
That congressman joining us right now, he is Democrat Dennis Kucinich. Welcome, Congressman. Now, you asked the tough question of Lewis about whether or not he was trying to get a Fed to write a letter, basically, well, to, I guess, cover his backside, right? And as we just heard, Lewis said he didn't recall any letter, but Fed emails might suggest differently. You quoted it. Here it is for our viewers. One Fed official writing to another on December 23rd, quote, "I don't think it's necessary or appropriate for us to give Lewis the kind of letter along the lines he asked, so we shouldn't let him off the hook by appearing to take the decision off his hands." The Fed said, basically, they were thinking about writing a letter, possibly from his office. He didn't recall that. What's your reaction?
Well, it's very clear that Mr. Lewis wanted to put on the Fed the responsibility for Bank of America's slide once it took the Merrill Lynch assets on. The key question that we have is what did Mr. Lewis know before he went to the shareholders of Bank of America and asked them to approve the acquisition of Merrill Lynch? We provided documentary evidence that he was getting weekly reports about the dire financial condition of Merrill Lynch long before he took the proposal to purchase Merrill Lynch to the stockholders of Bank of America.
Yeah, and there was another excerpt from a different email that was leaked out basically saying or suggesting that Ken Lewis's acknowledgement that he did not understand the deterioration of Merrill Lynch's finances was, quote, suspect. Now, is there any reason to doubt these Fed emails that were leaked out?
Well, of course, it's going to be important to have people testify under oath as to those emails, and we will do that. I'll be meeting with Chairman Towns to set up an opportunity for the Fed to come in and testify. But the fact of the matter is, there's plenty of evidence to suggest that Mr. Lewis knew exactly that Merrill Lynch was in a lot of trouble. He took it on anyway, and then when he took it on, he tried to blame the Fed for it. And so we're going to keep sorting it out. But at this point, it doesn't look very good for Mr. Lewis. And of course, the Bank of America shareholders took an enormous hit once he made the decision to take it over, and unfortunately without revealing to the shareholders the conditions of Merrill Lynch at the time.
Now, is there anything wrong? Let's say Ken Lewis did request a letter, or maybe an attorney requested it from the Fed on his behalf. Companies will often get MOUs, memorandums of understanding, from their auditors to say this is good, this is not good. Basically, also, it can help if there's any legal issues down the road. Is there anything fundamentally wrong if Ken Lewis did ask the Fed to say, hey, write the letter if you guys want us to do the deal?
Well, not necessarily, but in this case, and we have to focus on this case, it appears that he wanted the letter to take responsibility away from himself for the decisions about the acquisition of Merrill Lynch. And he was the one who went to his stockholders with a proposal to buy Merrill Lynch, knowing that Merrill Lynch was in bad financial condition and that it would cost a Bank of America shareholders. What he was trying to do, apparently, and this I say apparently because we have to get the Fed's point of view here, apparently what he was trying to do was to put the burden back on the Fed and have the Fed do it in writing, which would have been perfect for him.
There has also been some question as to Ben Bernanke's involvement in this. Mr. Bernanke, the Federal Reserve Chairman, has said he did not pressure Mr. Lewis. Some of the emails, though, going back and forth in the Fed, and they're on the Fox Business blog, by the way, are to Ben. And I assume that is Ben Bernanke because they come from the Fed Vice Chairman, Don Cohn, who would be on a first-name basis with Mr. Bernanke. Do you think Ben Bernanke's role is clear here?
Well, we're going to have a chance to question him in front of the committee. to find out about those emails and to see and to clarify his position. On one thing for sure, though, it was Mr. Lewis, who as head of CEO of Bank of America, he was the one that wanted the acquisition. He was the one who moved forward with it. There was a point at which he said, wait, I don't want this, and was threatening to invoke what's called the material adverse clause that would have essentially said, look, we can't go forward, we're done. And the Fed told him, be careful of doing that. You know, there was a lot of sharp elbows going back and forth, no question about that.
And you obviously were on top of it because the letter, and again, it's on the Fox Business blog. If people want to see, I plucked out some of the key lines from these emails, a lot of them. I tried to make sense of it all. You got the sense of this letter right away. What is next for you and what is next for Mr. Lewis? Do you continue this?
Well, I've talked to members of the committee since the meeting, and they want to call Mr. Lewis back to try to sort out the inconsistencies in his testimony. But that wouldn't come until we hear from the Fed first. So I'll be talking with Chairman Towns. He's chairman of the full committee. I'm chairman of the subcommittee on domestic policy, which started this investigation. And then Mr. Towns will decide in consultation with other members of the committee when we call the Fed. I think it'll probably be in a few weeks. But we're going to persist because, look, we owe it to the shareholders. And we owe it to the American taxpayers who have, for Bank of America, put out $45 billion and more. It's just not fair to ask people to keep anteing up when it appears that this decision was made, could have been avoided. It was a bad business decision by Mr. Lewis, apparently, and now the taxpayers are paying for it. Quickly,
Congressman, do you believe any laws were broken?
Well, if Mr. Lewis told us one thing and another thing is in fact true, then he's got a problem. We'll find that out and have a better idea about that talking to two people. One is the Fed, and I think we're also going to have to get the Securities and Exchange Commission involved to bring them Mr. Lewis's testimony with respect to what he knew and when he knew it.
Congressman Dennis Kucinich. Congressman, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.